You got me fucked up. You wanna call people? What you wanna do? You trying to say I ain't shit or what?
Bitch!
Okay, remember in the last video where I said I was maybe going to drop a video today? This was not the video I intended to drop if I was going to drop, which honestly I was going to just not upload anything because I was going to just do a quick out the story. But I have to kind of bring this up because Skullgirls means a lot to me, right? It is a game series that I honestly enjoy. It is a game series that I find extremely fun when it comes to fighting games, right? It is my favorite fighting game of all time. I'm not going to sit here and hold you. The art is very good. The fact that it's a hand-drawn fighting game is incredible to me. The fact that, you know, people really spend their time to create these awesome ass animations, do these awesome, amazing things with the art style, and just kind of be free and flowing with their characters that is all over the place and wacky and have crazy abilities and stuff like that, and just be free to do what they want is amazing to me, honestly. It is the first fighting game I ever picked up, tried to learn a fighting game off of, and just still enjoy. Even despite what we're about to talk about right now, I still love this game. I will still play this shit just because I like how the combat is in this game, honestly. I really still enjoy what this game has to offer gameplay wise, right? I don't want to go ahead and say anything wild when it comes to, that, this game sucks or something like that because of these changes. No, the game itself is fine. I want you to get that across. I still love this game. I still like the story of this game. I still like the characters. All that being said, with Skullgirls, with itself in its fictional content, as a whole, I thoroughly enjoy what it is. I even made a whole recording session of me thinking about what would happen if Jay got into that world of Skullgirls for some reason, and what would happen. And honestly, it would be a great ass time, honestly. And I still might drop that video despite everything. But today we had to talk about some tough ass love to show on this damn dev team or whatever happened, because they making some really, I would say, not reasonable changes to the game and what it is, because this game is literally like community everything. This game is literally community everything. But now it's like they're taking that part out of it. Even if it's in small ways, or people consider it to be small ways, it's still just taking that out of it. It's basically not being what Skullgirls is. Skullgirls to me is a game where characters are just badass. They can whoop your ass, they can defend themselves, they can do whatever the hell they want to, no matter what the circumstance is, the situation, or whatever else is going on with said characters. They are badass people. The females and Beowulf included, because I think Beowulf is like the only, no, Big Bang is also a male character, so there's like the only two male characters in the game. But still, nonetheless, they are all badass characters that really know how to put it down when it comes to a fight, and they all have their own stories and everything. So tell me why a lot of this stuff has to be changed. My question is, why, oh why, does every single piece of media or every single piece of fictional content has to require everyone getting involved? Not everything requires people to come through and just be involved into every single thing that people are enjoying. Not everybody has to sit down and enjoy an ecchi anime. Not everybody has to sit down and enjoy a slice of life anime. Not everyone has to sit down and enjoy a rom-com, and on and on and on. And that same sentiment goes with games. Not everybody is going to enjoy a Senran Kagura game because they might think it's too lewd, but some people just like it because it's just like that. Some people might not necessarily like shooting games because there's no hilarity in it, and there's just nothing but violence and stuff like that. And there's people that's going to enjoy it for those exact reasons. Some people don't like RPGs because they don't necessarily like the level grinding, the stories that be told that's super fictional and fantasy-like. But people really enjoy it, like Final Fantasy and things of the sort. People like Final Fantasy VII, honestly, because it's really good and it has that old, 1990s vibe to it that honestly slaps really well. Some people might not necessarily like Final Fantasy 16 because it's way too modern, or it's not my Final Fantasy, which is a weird claim to say. Or they don't necessarily like that the Bahamut person that has that icon is gay or something of the sort. Like, not every single piece of fiction has to cater to every single person. It does not. And along with those examples, Skullgirls is one of those games that should not be catered to just everybody. I get that it wants to look good in front of people that might want to pick it up, like Evo and stuff like that, but at the very same time, this game has been around for years. This game has the highest respect in the FGC for doing something different. Why does it need to be changed? For modern sensitivities and people to get along and play the game and enjoy what it is, I will never really understand. Honestly, there's still some games out there that does exist where they do whatever they want and not everybody's gonna be down for it, and I honestly appreciate that because we need variety and differences in gaming and people and things of the sort of what people enjoy. Because without those variety and differences, everything becomes one big color and everything just becomes bland and boring and lame and doesn't necessarily offer anything different because we're all so sensitive towards each other when that really shouldn't be the case. Somebody has to be offending some damn body. Not saying that it's, you know, the optimal thing that needs to happen, like just straight up offending somebody just to be a dick for no reason, but you need to have those differences, those big variety things, especially when it comes to the medium of art. It's cool that Skullgirls is one of the few games that actually uses hand-drawn stuff and actually be able to use it well in the medium that they're using it in. However, they are doing their own thing. They don't need to necessarily do what everybody else is doing, honestly. That just doesn't make any kind of sense. Some of the changes that come from this whole entire update are really ridiculous. Some of these changes go to the Egrets, which if you know, that's basically the group that Parasol and Umbrella is a part of, which they decided to take away their red armbands, their flags, and the symbolism that they have because it seems too close to a certain real life people. Now, when it comes down to things, and this is my whole kind of like solution or conclusion to all this, everything in Skullgirls is fictional. Nothing like that is definitely, when it comes down to things, intended to mean those sort of things, right? Just because, you know, you might have something of the similar type of way when it comes down to it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's intended to be that way. There is some fictional content stories that exist out there that might be using inspiration from those stories, but not necessarily, or those real life events, but don't necessarily use them in those sort of ways to mean that sort of thing. Why can't we just have the Egrets just have that stuff? Because that's what their world is. Like, their world suffered a war before. Like, there is certain things that happen in that point in time where they have to have, like, different groups and different unions and stuff like that. Or whatever the lore is when it comes to, you know, the Egrets and Skullgirls in the city of Meridian or whatever. And they have their own things in that fictional world. Why does something like that have to matter? Because real world implications. Like, I'm pretty sure ain't nobody is gonna come through and try to revive an old Nazi person because, oh shit, I played Skullgirls, that means I must be doing something crazy to revive some old crazy person from back in the day at that time from World War II. Like, that doesn't necessarily make any type of sense. It doesn't. Like, no one's gonna go automatically start putting their hand in the air like they did back in the day because, oh, I played Skullgirls and they had that imagery. I highly doubt that that's the case, and if you have that case, that's more of the fact that that's a problem on your part than it is actually on the game's. Like, even anime like Tanya is actually like inspired by a German soldier, if I'm correct. And when it comes down to things, does that mean that we should glorify the World War II German people? No, not at all. No, just absolutely not. It's just taking that type of inspiration to write that story of a fictional setting with fictional characters that, yes, was inspired by some events or people, but at the end of the day, it's still telling a fictional story of a damn reincarnated salaryman who essentially gets the body of the 14-year-old girl who ends up just starts slaughtering the hell out of her enemies. And that's all it is. Not a lot of people may not enjoy it, and I've heard some people doesn't necessarily like it because of the war implications and stuff like that. But I like it because of the action. I like it that Tanya can actually whoop ass. I want to see Tanya get beat up sometimes because she on some dumbass shit, but still, it is what it is. I'm not here to support no German World War II nonsense. I'm just here to watch a good anime story, to see how these characters kind of develop and do their own thing. That's what I came here for. And the same way with Skullgirls. I come here when I play Parasol or play her arcade or Umbrella's arcade and stuff like that. I want to see exactly what their society is like. What does the egrets do? Why do they matter? What's the whole purpose of the egrets and things like that. And adding symbolism and stuff like that, while may be controversial to some people, I don't necessarily mind it because it gives them a sense of, oh shit, they're really about this life. It gives them a bit of sincerity to their characters, and I enjoy that. Because now when they remove those damn flags and red armbands and whatever, it makes me think Parasol just controls a weak-ass military in some weak-ass place. Wait, are you gonna do something about the damn cross that's on her necklace as well, and flip that upside, like the right side up, or just get rid of it entirely? Like, I'm very curious on how you're gonna approach that new design with Parasol too. The racialness of like Big Ben is also another change that they decided to go with by changing something in the story of Big Ben, which I assume is the beginning part of his story where he gets jumped by police officers and was left for dead. A black guy, which I guess was jumped by white guys, which honestly I don't remember because I didn't pay attention to that shit. I was just thinking, damn, what's gonna happen to Big Ben? Oh shit, he got jumped by his own fellow officers? That's crazy. Why did they jump him? There was no reason for that shit. Like, he just wanted to do what was right. That's kind of effed up. And all that type of stuff, right? That's my whole thing. I was even thinking about the fact that, if that is the case, and that is what happened, because again, I don't remember, but if he was jumped by a whole bunch of white dudes, I was even thinking that. That wasn't even the first thing on my mind. I was thinking, oh, is Big Ben like some type of, actually like, yeah, I'm a good police officer, but actually do some under the table type shit or something like that? That's where my brain was going to first, honestly. Or it's like, oh, was he gonna get some of those hoes on the street or something like that? Who knows? That was where my brain was going to. And then when you see that he actually turns into this cool ass jazz robot person, it's just like, oh damn, this is actually some heat. So out of everything out of Big Ben that you decide to change, which honestly nothing needed to be changed, why change something that I barely remember, that barely should be anything that is important? Are we going to change the plot lines of, oh, Peacock actually getting mutilated, or Miss Fortune getting chopped up into pieces and, using her whole body as a weapon to just extend her body by her flesh and whatever? Or are we going to just get rid of the fact that Double can change personalities with other people, and essentially just because, she has multiple different, I guess, forms, and she could be any type of gender of sex and all that type of stuff? Or are we going to change that? Or are we going to just make, Double trans or something like that? I don't, again, necessarily understand what is the point about doing any of these changes. They don't help. They don't add anything to what's going on. It just hurts the overall, I guess, feel of the game in a way. Not the story, because the story is not really going to change, but it hurts the overall feel. The one thing I would like to talk about the most, which I guess would be no surprise for the people that actually stay on this channel, is the sexualization of the characters. Now, obviously, Skullgirls has a plentiful history when it comes to their characters on the female side and being used in different ways, whether it's showing their panties in certain scenes, whether it's literally getting stripped down, whether it's, falling over and again panty shot. But when it comes down to things, you do realize that degenerate people also helped made this game, right? Again, it's a part of the community of the FGC. It is part, the Skullgirls is, wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for community. Like, it is essential that you have, your community be a part of you, even if it's a part of the community that you don't necessarily like or don't necessarily respect or whatever. If they are helping, selling your game, or at least keeping the community relevant and whatever, then there's some props to go to that. Honestly, this is just like one of those situations where, a game decides to be less about that life, and then essentially it's going to be either to the fans to keep it going, or it's going to be either to the fans to just let it die. Like, there's some games that absolutely exist, and they only exist due to the fan art of people, what they make, honestly. Like, Overwatch. No one plays Overwatch outside the sweaty people that has literally nothing to do on a Saturday night. The only reason why so many people know what Overwatch is, or vibe with Overwatch, is because of the Gentai content that exists of it. If it wasn't for that, don't nobody give a damn. And honestly, it all started when they removed the Tracer's, backwards pose. When they said, oh, that's too much ass on Tracer, remove that shit, that's when everything went crazy. And at this point, Overwatch is just nothing more than an over big size Gentai series with more big animation and features and stuff like that due to fan community artworks and stuff that has way more stuff than the actual game itself. What I feel like some people don't necessarily understand when it comes to devs, when they make certain changes or get rid of certain elements of certain games, they actively hurt their own products, honestly. And to be honest, it's never really going to be good, dead or alive. Try to do this by hiding these, sexy outfits that the girls always wear, that they always were a part of and that they always did and stuff of the sort. However, the moment they did that for Dead or Alive 6, that's when things went downhill, honestly. They tried to do something that honestly shouldn't have been done by having all these customization options to buy all this stuff and be really hands-on microtransactions wise, and it just wasn't good. They shouldn't have done something like that. They should have let the characters keep their sexy outfits. They should have just done whatever, and to be honest, it really sucks that they did that. So now we gotta wait for Dead or Alive 7 or the reboots to hopefully come through and make the right decision by letting the girls be sexy badass girls. There's no reason why you have to change that, honestly. It's still, that's like the big reason, why I would go back to Dead or Alive 5, because it's the only newish kind of Dead or Alive, new-ish I say, but it's the only one where it's like, oh, sexiness is allowed with badass fighting. Honestly, it's like, come on now. Even Senran Kagura, literally one of the more well-known ecchi ass games that exist, died mainly because the freaking company decided to get rid of the sexy stuff and burst renewal. Guess what happened? Senran Kagura from that point forward, after the anime, just died. Everything about Senran Kagura died. And it's not even just that, but you also got rid of the person that made Senran Kagura, and they did their own thing and started their own company or whatever. And everything about Senran Kagura from Marvelous ends up dying. And all the great characters, all the fun moments from that show, series, and games died because the company wanted to try to appeal to everyone. Skullgirls already had raunchy content, already had people that helped make that game, like Zontan, who honestly has those Easter eggs. What, we're going to just get rid of that shit too? All the contributions that she did to the game as well, whatever she did, we're going to just get rid of that? That's insane to me. Skullgirls already had a few raunchy things back in the day, but they toned that down already. And to be honest with you, even though I would like to have seen that stuff, I don't necessarily think it's necessary. I'll be honest with you. Sure, it would be nice to see Samson strip Philly of her clothes, and that would be awesome. And yes, I would love to see the endless amount of panty shots. But when it comes down to things, you don't necessarily have to have that stuff. You really don't. What Skullgirls is at its point right now is fine. But the fact that you want to change what's been censored and change it again and censor it even more is just like, come on now. All you're doing is essentially just giving either A, your fans more power to want to essentially make more Gentai content of these characters doing lewd and raunchy things, no matter who it is, or honestly make people want to essentially try to find a way to, I guess, in a weird way, mod the game to maybe make nude sprites or something to make that a possible thing. Granted, I don't know how they would go about that because there's just way too much animation, honestly, in that. But I wouldn't put it past it for someone to do that though. Like, the only game that is of the fighting variety that I've seen that actually does something kind of well, even though it does have their parts of problems too, is the recently released Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 Everybody was so worried that all the characters was gonna be not so sexy or they're gonna lose their sex appeal and stuff like that. Chun-Li still have her thick ass thighs, honestly. Juri still be taunting you with her feet and ass, so that's a thing. Cammy is nothing but ass, so that didn't have to change. There is nothing wrong with Cammy's, original outfit. That's in the game. You can see all the bare cheeks out loud, but when it comes down to things, that game does it well. It's fine. It's a good game. It knows what the audience wants. They want to see thick ass Cammy. They want to see Juri's feet. They want to see thick thighed Chun-Li. They want to see certain elements. Hell, even Lily, when she be doing certain poses, that ass be poking out with them pink ass jeans or shorts or jorts, or if that's even is the right word. But when it comes down to things, they know what their audience is wanting. They've been wanting something like this for a long time, where the female characters are badass but also sexy as hell, and they can do both. There is absolutely no reason why Skullgirls need to remove and change that part of the game. Like, you had degenerates in your community for a very long time. They also helped build your game. Hell, when it comes down to things, that is an essential part of your game. Yes, we understand that what happened with Mike Z back at Lab Zero was an unfortunate thing that didn't need to happen, honestly. It's a shitty thing that didn't need to happen. It's a stupid ass individual that caused a lot of problems that really didn't need to happen. But at the very same time, you should also consider your community. Consider the people that really enjoy the game. Consider the people that really enjoy the art of the game and its animations and everything about it. I don't think you're going to be saving the world by changing the fact that Philia is not going to be shown with her panties. Now I'm just thinking that, oh, does she wear panties at all? Because that's essentially what I'm thinking now if you're going to censor that shit. Are we gonna reduce the breast size of Valentine because she's just way too busty? Or what about that one CG in Parasol story where Umbrella poked her tits for fun? Like, are we gonna just remove all this stuff? Because I gotta tell you, it's making the game hella boring as it visually is, and the vibe of the game is being thrown all the way off. So what next? Are we gonna introduce a trans character that's just gonna be doing some things and then have their whole thing just be trans and then essentially just have a gay relationship or whatever, and then just that be the whole plastered thing that's on about their story or something like that, or a part of someone else's story? Or we're gonna see that in the background? Or are we gonna start having trans kids be in this game and actually be something, even though they don't even know what a damn shape is? All they know is to go on Twitter, start causing nonsense and being in spaces that they don't belong, and even though we try to kick them out, they still be in damn dumbass spaces that they don't need to be in, honestly. Are we gonna change every single animation that's in the game where literally panties are going to be shown in that certain position, but we're not gonna necessarily have that out anymore because, oh, for some reason we can't necessarily let our characters breathe? Again, Evo, they had Skullgirls in recent memory. There is literally no reason to change what Skullgirls is. It is a game where you have fine, sexy, badass females that can honestly whoop your ass, with parasites that's with them that can honestly do double the damage. There is no reason to change that. Why can't female characters just be sexy and badass if you want them to be like that? Why can't we just have that? Why does every female character in the now new modern age has to be ugly pieces of shit and honestly not necessarily be badass in the way we want them to be badass? Because they always have that dumbass shade haircut, or ends up being like in a gay relationship that gives them the super strength to do whatever ridiculous thing they want to do. But for some reason we can't just let them be straight, or we can't necessarily let them be, whisked away or something like that and taken to some other place like Princess Peach or something like that. Or we can't necessarily let the female characters be fire ass characters, fight for their lives and actually can kick your ass, but also know how to be skimpy and sexy at the same time. Again, I just don't necessarily understand any of this. I don't get these changes. These changes is not Skullgirls. It's just taking what Skullgirls used to be and just changing it from modern sensitivities because bitches online can't necessarily handle anything. Or maybe it's the people that's behind the game. Maybe it's the certain devs at Hidden Variable that was like, I don't necessarily like this, let's change it. Or maybe it was the credit card companies that helped Hidden Variable or something like that, that honestly was like, change this now or forever hold your peace with this damn game. Or essentially, maybe it's just the community that was being very vocal, which is the minority part, and essentially the trans and maybe gay people or maybe the Karens or whatever essentially complain about the game because they didn't necessarily like the fact that Philia's ass was showing out, even though it's perfectly fine and it hadn't needs to be changed. They are all fictional characters. This is exactly like the lolly and, debate that people usually be having. There is nothing really wrong with it because guess what? They are fictional characters. You ain't saving no real kids by doing any of these changes or making any type of statements, honestly. You're just taking away the freedom of expression, which is incredibly annoying and exceedingly happens way too damn much in, modern day. It just doesn't make any kind of sense. What does taking away those variables of them being sexy and badass at the same time, what does that do? Nothing of the sort. What does adding more of it do? Nothing of the sort. It should just stay the way it is, honestly. If you wanted your characters to be conservative, they should have been conservative day one. Changing it now just feels like a stab in the back by the devs itself. It doesn't necessarily feel like it needs to be this way. Again, not every piece of fictional content needs to have everybody on board. There is no reason for that to be the case. Not everything needs to be on board. My damn series I write on YouTube doesn't need to be on board with everybody. There's opinions about it that no one likes, honestly. And some people might not necessarily like the decisions I make with the story. But guess what? It's my story. I'll write it however the damn well I please. Because it is meant for the people that want to see it, and mainly for myself, considering the fact that I said even with 0 views, I would still create that story. But when it comes down to things, this is just another damn studio, another damn game. Unfortunately, one of the games I really enjoy that ends up falling down the same rabbit hole as every single other thing. And if the day comes where Skullgirls is not as popular anymore, and no one plays that shit, or people just don't necessarily care for Skullgirls in that sort of way like they used to, you have only yourselves to blame. It is not necessary to change any of what these characters have, or what they will do, or what is a part of their stories, or anything of the sort, because changing and bending the knee to a bunch of people doesn't please anyone. I want you to get that through your heads. Skullgirls is a game that has sexy female characters in it. No matter who they are, no matter their age, doesn't matter because they're fictional. They are sexy female characters who can whoop your ass. That is it. Nothing needs to be changed for modern sensitivities. Nothing needs to go away. If you want to change something, then give people a freaking option. Give them a button in the settings where they can toggle the more raunchier and lewder part of the game, or switch it off to make it more vanilla and more wholesome. If that's what you want to do, give us the option. Stop making choices that no one asked for. I'm just going to be honest with you. So many games try to make these different choices, try to do these different things, thinking that this is going to work. This is what people want. At the end of the day, no one asked for this shit. No one wanted this shit. I'm just going to be very honest. If I end up seeing Philia's panties, then oh freaking well, it is what it is. Because you know why? If someone's wearing that much of a short skirt, yes, I'm going to see panties. And considering the fact that majority of people have no dignity these days, I don't understand why you changed it anyway, honestly. It just doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. And then the fact that you're also removing other aspects, like certain illustrations from the guest artworks and stuff, or certain illustrations when it comes to the sprites of the characters, like Philia with the big ass afro with the hair pick in it. Which, honestly, do you not know that white people used to use afros and wear afros back in the day? Like, they used to use them shits. That afros is a hairstyle, boy. It is not. Even when I saw that shit, I was like, oh shit, I respect that. Ain't nothing like made me think, oh, I can't believe she using a hairpin. That fake ass cracker or something like that. I ain't saying that about Philia. Boy, like come on. Even to give you a real life example, even my math teacher from back in high school, my last year, even he showed us a picture of what he looked like in the 80s. Guess what he had? A pick. Guess what also he had? An afro. Because that was just a style back in the effing day. I do not understand why that has to be changed either. Like, all this stuff is incredibly bad, incredibly annoying, and does again not need to be changed. Whether it's on the racial side of a ban, or whether it's on the egret side, or whether you just don't want to see Philia's panties or something like that, none of that needs to be changed from what it is right now. It is fine for what it is right now, but what do I know? I'm just a commoner. I just play your game because I like to give you money for some reason. I'm just a person that doesn't necessarily have that many subscribers, so my voice doesn't reach for shit. I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, even though I know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Well, a lot of people know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to this subject, and all you're doing is just killing what Skullgirls is. It is a good-ass fighting game. It is a very fantastic fighting game. It is arguably, I would say, the best fighting game of all time. Yes, I said that. Better than maybe not maybe historically better than like all those other games like MVC2 and Star Strike obviously, but like to play still, I would still argue that this might be the best fighting game to ever be played. That's just me. Honestly, Street Fighter 6 is like a close second for me. But when it comes down to things, I just don't like the decision that they're making here. I just don't like it. I do not agree with it. It is by far the most trash thing ever. And it's just, again, killing what Skullgirls is. Honestly, I get that you don't want to be a part of that Mike Z era no more, or that Lab Zero shit, which I understand. But at the very same time, like, no, don't change what this shit was. This is a game built by the community, for the damn community. Just no. And honestly, as you've seen, has people been horrible on the internet nowadays with all this LGBT stuff, or race stuff, or left versus right stuff, you know, pink versus blue, doesn't necessarily matter, because at the end of the day, people are going to change. But that doesn't necessarily mean the medium of what Skullgirls is needs to change with it. If you just don't like it, you just don't necessarily like it, right? And if you were gonna make some changes like this, then just do a Skullgirls 2. Don't tarnish what legacy Skullgirls 1 is, because this game literally is a game that was built from the ground up to be awesome. Had some troubles with Lab Zero, but then came back with Annie and then whooped some ass. And that was amazing, honestly. And still having really good characters. I enjoyed the shit out of playing Black Dahlia. She has some of the best music in the entire game. But when it comes down to things, this just is not the move. Again, if you honestly try to keep doing this shit, you're gonna go down like Senran Kagura has. You're gonna go down in a lot of eyes of the fans like, you know, DOA did. And so many other games before you, because you're trying to appeal to everybody, and at the end of the day, it doesn't work because you essentially just appeal to no damn body. But that's essentially all I really want to say for this one. I'm not editing this video. This is just gonna be one picture. It is what it is. Fight me. But I just really wanted to be vocal on this because this doesn't make any type of sense of why this is happening, and it's just really annoying overall. And it's sad to see. Again, Skullgirls is like, again, my favorite fighting game of all time. And the fact that something I really, really like is getting a boot like this is like, well, damn, no wonder why people make, you know, Jinsai characters, you know, Jinsai of these characters and doing different things and stuff like that in fan art, because, yeah, you censor the hell out of them. So we're gonna uncensor them in our own way. And it just doesn't make any type of sense. We're just gonna be honest with you. Don't do these stupid ass changes. No one cares. You ain't saving nobody, you ain't making a difference. Be like a good example like Street Fighter 6. If you're gonna be having these sexy ass, badass female characters in the game and stuff like that, then let them be sexy ass, badass female characters. Even I argue that Smash Ultimate with Pyra, even she has a little bit of that jiggle physics on her. Even then, and it's a game that's meant to be for everybody. Even with her, she's kinda sexy and still badass. I don't even know anything about Xenoblade, but I know that much is true when it comes to her. Again, let characters just breathe. Let them do what they want instead of being so hyper focused on real life. It's fiction. Real life shouldn't have to have anything on holding on it. You should be able to make whatever the hell you want. And to be honest, it's really sad that we can't let that happen anymore, because people are too much of a prick and people are too sad and weak to let shit like this just go through. It honestly really sucks, and it's just, again, the West just being stupid as shit and they don't know what they're doing. So again, that's really all I wanted to say. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Patreon is available as well. And until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.